I always wanted to find who I was. I wanted to find who I am. I wanted to know who I am. I wanted to know what I am. I wanted to know what this is, what life is. I wanted to know the point of life, the meaning of life. I wanted to know. It's the nature of me. It's the nature of self to want to know. And so what I'm talking about, what we're talking about, is the nature of life is nothing. The meaning of life is nothing. The purpose of life is nothing. The knowledge of life is nothing. The understanding of life is nothing. So there's nothing to know. There's nothing to understand. There's nothing that means anything more than anything else. The only purpose is thoughts of purpose. The only meaning is thoughts of meaning. And you may have already realized, but you might still be looking, you might have realized that there is nothing to be realized. And realizing that there's nothing to realize is really the shittest realization, isn't it? Because it's no realization at all. You realize that there's nothing to be realized. And of course, that's not realizing anything. Because you really wanted to realize what was real and what was unreal. What I'm suggesting is that no one knows that. That's not knowable. There is just what seems to appear, what seems to be happening, what seems to be going on. Now, who gives a shit if that's dream or real? Well, there's a very simple answer to who gives a shit. You do. I do. Self does. It makes no odds to life itself at all. Whether this is a dream, whether it's whether it's absolutely real or whether it's an absolutely dreamed reality. It's all there is. All there is what is. And knowledge about it and understanding about what is can be fun, can be interesting, but ultimately it's empty. And what I suggest is the pursuit of that knowledge and the pursuit of that understanding, for most people, is not enjoyable. For most human beings, it's a desperate attempt at ultimate control, ultimate knowledge, to be one of the special ones. Well, I've got great news on that. You're not a fucking special one. There are no special ones. How wonderful is that? No human being is more special than another. No human beings are more special than an ant. But just because we happen to be human beings, of course, we do we do have slightly more empathy with other human beings than we do other ants. Although I do know a lot of human beings who think dogs and cats are far superior and love them much more than human beings. But the freedom is that this is already free. There is no attainment of freedom. There is no attainment at all. So wherever you're trying to get to, wherever you're trying to be, there is only where you seem to be. You will never be anywhere else. There is nowhere else, and there is no you to be anywhere else. So this isn't an answer. It's simply the end of the questions. And of course, without questions, there's no requirement for any answers. And you may have noticed already, any answer only creates another question. That is exactly how science works. So questions are good for relative things, but for absolute, completely worthless. Futile. And the word futility can sound nihilistic, but it's not. It's very freeing. There's great freedom in the absolute futility. In fact, you could say futility is unconditional love. Because you may well be asking yourself, what's the point? What is the point? And the reply comes back as a deafening silence. And that is the point. Wonderfully empty, wide open, boundless, unknowable. It can be so basic that you can understand, and you've got, because you've heard it 1,000 times, that there's only this. The simplicity of it doesn't really land. The simplicity of it is too outrageous. that there simply is no more, no less, no other, no next, no before, no after, no during, just this, only this. So if this is saying it can't be this, that's this. If this is saying not this, some other this, then that's this. There's no exception. There's no exclusion. There's no conditions. All conditions. Thanks for coming, everyone. I said it earlier, but I'll just say it again. There won't be a meeting next Thursday. The next Zoom will be in 2 weeks' time. It's funny that I could say, I mean, it's so the hypocrisy of this knows no bounds, does it? I say there's absolutely no next, and then I tell you what I'm doing next. Isn't it fucking hilarious? Oh, no wonder people look at this or hear this and go, well, what a crock of shit. uh, it is funny that that paradoxes just don't matter anymore. So I say it's paradoxical, and everyone just say, well, all you do is contradict yourself constantly. And I went, yeah, contradiction, paradox. I prefer the word paradox, but you can call it contradiction if you want. I think maybe a lot of the piece is when the paradox of the relative and the absolute just is not a problem at all. When they are when the relative totally contradicts the absolute, which it does, there's no problem in that at all. It just, and don't ask me how. I mean, I can't. If I could teach that, then I think I'd be a good teacher. If I could teach when the paradox of the absolute and the relative just doesn't matter. Of course, relatively, there is a next. Otherwise, we can't speak to each other and we can't make any plans and we can't tell any stories. But absolutely, there is no next. And there doesn't seem to be any problem with that at all. And yet, for most, I mean, for purely intellectual human beings, that's a big issue. But it's not an issue at all. But it is if you make it one, which most people do. Hi, Marianne.
Hello.
Hello.
Uh, there is no free will?
No free will?
Yes.
Yeah, there is the appearance of free will. Free will appears, but there's no one who has free will. It's a bit like everything else that self-claims. So there's no chooser, but there is seeming choice, which is the same as free will. If I say, do you want coffee or tea? A reply will come, and then if I ask you who replied, you would say me, and me would claim the choice. What's suggested is that there is no one who has free will, but there is an appearance of choosing and appearing to have a choice, a free choice. Of course, choices are never free, are they? Choices are always made on what you think is best for me. And then we call that free will. But what you're trying to do, what self is always trying to do, is make the best choice for me.
Thank you.
So there's no, yeah. So there is the appearance of free will. Yeah, free will appears to happen. I mean, for me, free will is just thought, and it's just as there's no one who has free will. There's no one who is the thinker. Thinking just naturally happens, and then it's claimed by me as they're my thoughts, and I'm the one who has chosen the thought that I'm going to choose. But all of that happens. It happens with or without the illusion of you as the chooser. That's what I would say. And it's funny that choices are much easier without me. Because there's less concern about which will be best for me. Because choices will just happen naturally anyway. They are happening naturally already. And then me claims that natural way of being, of choosing. Sure.
I think.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Tim, you know, she asked about free choice, you know.
Yeah.
It's mentally, sometimes I often think about this when there is a anger, you know. So it have to be there is anger to someone be angry. So in the fact that have to be there just anger, but not angry, you know, or thirst or whatever it is. I mean, anger, it have to be anger that someone is it's calling I'm angry, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But mentally, sometimes it's feel no, it's just anger, but no one who is angry.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing, yeah, it's quite easy for self to say that hunger is natural, that it's not. We would so most people would say I am hungry, but they would admit that okay, it's not necessary for me to be hungry because animals are hungry. I know animals get hungry. It's a real basic need. But in the higher needs, like social needs, relationships, of course, self claims all rights to the power over those to choose. So I choose who I marry. I choose who I love. I choose. And I mean, is there any more bullshit than we choose who we love? I don't know when you last fell in love, but it was probably totally against your better judgment. You go, what the fuck? What? You're just so powerless. And you go, so I mean, falling in love for me is the greatest example, is the clearest example that I say to selves when they say they're the doer and the manager and they're in control of their lives. So I say, yeah, so you're in control of who you fall in love with. And everyone I've ever met, 100% will say, oh no, I had no say in that whatsoever. Well, I'm suggesting it's all falling in love, the whole fucking shebang. It's only falling in love, and that the actual falling in love with another human being is probably the best clue you're ever going to get to how much control you actually have over what you've called your life, which is absolutely none. I mean it in an absolute way, absolutely none. So all the seeming control, all the seeming choices, all the seeming management is just that, seemingly. Absolutely, everything just is happening as it seems to be happening. No choosers anywhere, no doers anywhere, no thinkers anywhere. I mean, it is quite amazing.
Yes, I mean, that's, you know, whatever you say, you know, or this message says, and this site it just says, yes, 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 yes. You know, and that's, but sometimes mentally I just, I think about that, this anger or thirst or some,
Yeah.
all of this. It's sometimes mentally I say it is, if there is no anger there, how can someone be hungry, you know? This always I did think about mentally.
Yeah.
So there is anger, but no one is angry, or there is a thirst that actually no one is thirsty.
And I would say the same with all emotions, Shir. So there's anger or there's sadness, but no one is sad. There's joy, but the joy doesn't belong. So it's not your joy. Joy doesn't belong. There's joy if there's joy. There's sorrow if there's sorrow. There's grief if there's grief. There's longing if there's longing.
Yeah, you know, the
There's
most
love.
difficult part of this message is this longing, you know.
Yes.
In my side, you know, this
Yeah.
is the actually this is which is beautifully meaningless, but it is. You know, it's there is no way you can do something about it. You know,
No.
and then I think to ask you about, you know, the thing which you went through as a person, and when you was a, or you think that you're an individual. And then my English is very bad, but I read in the end one sentence that you write that of course there is nothing happening. And that I think if you can please talk about.
Yeah.
No, it's beautiful. I just feel it, and then in the end, you write all of this. Of course, there is nothing happening, something like that.
No. Thanks, Shir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Razia.
Hi, Tim. Hi, everyone.
No.
Yeah, I think what Aziz was saying, like, you know, there is nothing you can do. And I think most non-dual sages will say it's worse than that. There's no you. And
It's
Yeah,
not that there's nothing to do. No, there's always plenty
there's
to
no
do.
you to do
The
it.
washing up's not going to do itself.
Yeah. And I think it's like there is this feeling of this is it, you know? I mean, what else can you say? This exactly as it is fulfillment. There's nothing, nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. And yet there is a seeming me that keeps popping up and putting a context to everything. You know, it's trying to say, okay, this is right, this is not right, judging. There's, yeah, it's looking at whatever is occurring and trying to make sense of it. And yeah, and oftentimes that's where we get lost in the story of that. So for a while you are like thinking, a thought is popping up, and then you're engaging with that thought. You say, that's true, I believe. I mean, and then now talking now, so a whole lot of self-talk starts happening. and, then at the end of it, that whole self-talk is believed now, you know, and you say, oh, yeah, that's true. And now what emerged as just a thought now becomes a story in your head, you know? And it's believed and it becomes part of your story. And that is until it is seen that, I mean, it's not, you know? And yeah, the whole thing is that we live in this kind of, there's this peace, this joy, there's like there's nothing happening. Like sometimes you just look in and words are coming out and you're wondering where it's coming from. Like, and then you say, it's me. But it's not, I mean, it's like up here like this, it's like just silent, like there's nothing there. So where are the words coming from? And or you're laughing, or you're smiling, you're engaging with the world. It's all so beautiful. And you're looking out there and all you see is this love that's so amazing, and beauty. It's also beautiful. Love is beautiful. And like you said, you don't choose who you can love. First, you start loving the people close to you. Then you start loving people that you meet every day. And one day you're hugging a stranger on the bus because they're crying. Or you say, I love you to someone who's been good to you, or kind, or even someone who's hurt you. It just becomes so, who's doing this? Who is this that loves? And seemingly, we don't know.
No.
Half of what is happening is not like Tim said, it's not something that you know, but it's happening and we engage in. There's a supposed you that engages with the world. And underneath it all, you know, there's nothing here. This is just talking, it's thinking, what's thinking? And that's so beautiful. Thanks, Tim.
Oh, thanks, Rosie. Hi, Doris.
Hello. So, to be happy or bliss is also just a part of an illusion, just nothing.
What, to be happy?
Yeah,
No. No, being happy is not any more an illusion than being sad.
it's just
Being
what happens.
being happy, if there's being happy, there's being happy. It's just no. I don't think happiness or sadness is illusory. There could be nothing more real.
Yeah, but in one way, there's this longing to be happy for the ultimate.
Oh no, that's the story. The story that self tells itself is there is a place, and apparently some human beings have got to that place. And we've called it all kinds of names. You'll have your favorite one. So some spiritual folk, they really love enlightenment because it sounds wonderful. But there's others in non-duality who like liberation, and there's others who like awakening to the truth. So you're living in a dream, and living as self is the dream, and then you could wake up to reality. I like the idea of that. I have to say, I like that one. I don't know what yours is, Doris. And all I want to do is say, there's some really bad news, some dreadful, fucking awful news about the whole notion of attaining some permanent state of being. You may have noticed states are not permanent. Have you not worked that out yet? I mean, there are some young people here, but most of you old bastards like me, you should have realized by now that all states, emotional, psychological, physical, they all appear, maybe seem to last a certain amount of time and then disappear. Sometimes they're so ephemeral you don't even know they've arrived before they've gone. But the nature of the relative, which is how I feel or how life appears to be, it just is transitory. It's just ephemeral. It just disappears. There can be, I know there are plenty of people who are selling happiness sales people. I am not in that business. I am not speaking about happiness in any shape or form. Happiness is a totally illusory, wonderfully, I don't know, all emotions are so mysterious. I mean, there's nothing more mysterious than falling in love, which we talked about earlier. But just happiness is self, and maybe its counterpoint, joy. Which, I mean, if it was just joy, how the fuck would you know joy? How would there be joy if there was only joy? I mean, we only know emotional states because they come and go. And I'm actually saying you have no say over your happiness because happiness isn't yours. There isn't a you that's happy. Happiness appears or not. Sadness appears or not. It's unconditional love. If love was conditional, then you could put a condition on it, which self always tries to make love conditional and say, I only want the happy love. I only want the joyful love. I only want the blissful love or the peaceful love. That's not how love is. Unconditional love is unconditional. It appears always as everything without any exclusion whatsoever. And if there hasn't been a sense of sorrow, sadness, and grief are just so clearly love, being expressed as sadness and grief and loss and sorrow. If there's not been a realization that that is love, then I would wish that, because then you're not rejecting what self does. Because you say happiness is the goal, whilst happiness is the goal, sadness will be the enemy. While peace is the goal, peace as in, you know, I mean, as this is why I don't promote meditation or peaceful practices, because what they do is when you go into the world of human relationships, there's inevitable conflict because human beings just are looking out for themselves. That's their nature. And then conflict is the enemy of peace. But of course, conflict isn't the enemy of peace. There's no less peace in conflict. Again, it's paradoxical. There's no less love in hate. And it's not logical. It's not rational. And how it's obvious, I can't really say. It's very difficult to speak about this because it goes against what self has always been taught. We're very conditioned that love is conditional. You know, there are things that are loving and there are things that, there's a lot of things that are not. This notion that everything is love, or this undeniable sense and this doubtlessness that everything is love, that there is only love, appearing as everything, is not conducive to happiness, but it is very conducive to peace, because then there's no conflict in what appears. So you don't have to like what appears, but you're not saying it's wrong. It might sound like no difference at all, but there's a massive difference between this shouldn't be happening, this is totally wrong, this is evil, this is, and I don't like what's happening. Don't like what's happening, would wish it to be other, is totally natural. You don't need self for that. But what self does, because I'm the judge of what's right and wrong, is I say it's wrong and it shouldn't happen. Well, what I'm speaking about is the piece of, it's irrelevant whether it should or shouldn't happen. It is. What is. And it's unquestionably as it is. So if that's sorrow, if that's conflict, rather than peace and love, then there's an okayness with it not being okay. That's what I'm speaking of. It's incredibly subtle. I mean, it isn't a massive shift, that because it isn't about everything is okay, it's that it's okay that it's not okay, which is a really subtle shift in how the things that you don't like about life are experienced. So they're experienced still as I don't like them. They're experienced as I wish it could be otherwise, or there's desire for it to be otherwise. But there is an okayness because it can't be other than it is. And that, when there's no doubt that it couldn't be other than it is, because there isn't any possibility of that, simply because it is as it is. That's why there's no other possibility. This is the only possibility. And so, of course, it's not a possibility, this. It's just as it is. There are no possibilities at all. There is no other time, place. There's no other this. So if there's wishing that there would be another this, there's a different this to this one, when there is only this one, then that's as it is as well. That's okay. You know, all of that is okay. The seeking is okay. Feeling like me is okay. If there's feeling like me, there's feeling like me. You can't do anything about being me. That's the whole, I mean, that's the cosmic joke of seeking. Me tries to get rid of me. Yeah, good luck with that. How's that gone? How has that been going the last 30 fucking years? Me getting rid of me. Now, the reason I say that is because I really did put a lot of effort into that. I don't think I could have tried any harder to rid myself of myself. Even when I saw the absolute hypocrisy, the joke of it, when that didn't make any difference, even that when I could see the utter stupidity and futility of it, oh, what else am I going to do? What else am I going to do but try? You know, me is a trier. I'm a trier. That's what I do. I try to get what would make me okay, because I'm not okay. I'm not okay. So I spent 25 years improving myself to make myself bigger. And then I thought, no, that hasn't worked. That's fucking shit. I'm more miserable than ever. So what I'll do now, I've heard there is a state where there is no me. Well, I'll have some of that then, because I'm a pain in the ass, and I'm fucking sick and tired of being me. So I'll go for that. So then I put all my efforts into not being me. Well, you may see the flaw. The flaw is screamingly obvious. Effort by me to not be me is constantly confirming me and my ability to do something about me. I laugh about it, but I mean, that's the compassion in speaking about this. You know, enough already. Fuck it. You're not going to get there. There's nowhere to get to. There's no you to lose. So this whole notion of you could shift, that wonderful human being who, you know, is all there is for you, the one you've called you, there's never been you. There's no you to lose. And the biggest joke of all, if you're not there, because you won't be there to notice. Fuck it. What a complete fucking ridiculous fucking joke. Oh, God. Don't bring God into it.
That's what you did.
That's me. Yeah. Sorry for doing that. I can only apologize. I will say this is lovely. You can't blame God anymore. I mean so you can't blame yourself. It's funny that if self disappears, then God goes with him or with her. You can only make God in your own image. So what is that? If you stopped appearing, what do you think's in your place? Your guess is as good as mine, by the way, because you're looking at me. Well, I can tell you what's in your place. I fucking can't. There's no knowing. There's nothing in my place. There's just this great void of not knowing, or this deafening silence. All these phrases that I use, which may sound as though I know something about what I'm talking about. I haven't got a clue. There is nothing in your place, and you won't even notice that there's nothing in your place because you are already nothing in your place. So the me that you said that is a solid thing, is a thing, is already completely empty. So when there is just empty, you wouldn't even notice. It's no good. It'd be no good going then looking for yourself again, because there'd be nowhere to look. If there's just space, there's no. It's like hide and seek without any places to hide. You may have already done that if you did some self-inquiry. I did it, looking for myself, and I thought, well, it's like hide and seek with yourself, which in itself is a shit game if you think about it. Kids can't, there's a kid on his own. He said, will you come and play hide and seek? And you went, no, go and play on your own. Go and find yourself. Hide, and then go find yourself. Have fun. It's no fun. It's no fun. It's no fun at all. There's no fun in that game. It's amazing how many people play that game, though. There's a lot. It's still popular. So when there's just space, there's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to look, and there's nowhere to escape to. There's nowhere to go to. So that's the peace that passes all understanding. So even if you're moving, it's still utterly doubtless that you haven't gone anywhere. There's no going anywhere. Now, if you've got plans of a bucket list of places you need to go before you die, this will annihilate that, I think. Because you might still want to go and see the Taj Mahal, but I doubt it. You'd just be just as happy sitting in the park bench around the corner. It's very like that. Because, of course, the wonder of being is not in a place. It's all places. There's no exception. So, yeah, I've always fancied the Grand Canyon. Well, it's grand, isn't it? But, grand is not. There's no difference between the grand and the small and insignificant and mundane. The wonder in the most ordinary. Just like when I was a kid that always loved bugs. I love bugs. I still do. But there was a period, I guess there was a 40-year gap in the middle of life where bugs were something to be ignored and not wondered about at all. Maybe I stopped wondering about bugs when I was about 12, 13. Didn't stop and wonder at the butterfly. Well, thanks for coming, everyone. Just to say, I said at the beginning, but just to say again, there'll be no Zoom next Thursday. And to remind you that I've got meetings in Brighton on the 26th and 27th of April, and there's still a couple of places left. If you would like to come, email me at clistim@gmail.com. Thanks for coming. Nice to see you all.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks. Cheers, Darren.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.